I'm standing on one of the newer bridges that span the River Dodder here in Dublin. This one just below Tala, on the Furhouse side of the river, the right bank of the river. I'm just waiting for a guy, a volunteer with Dodder Action, who's going to come along and talk to me about volunteering in general, but more specifically about Dodder Action and the people involved and the work that they do. Now, I'm a little bit early, but not to worry. It's a beautiful winter's morning. It's about 6 degrees Celsius. Not an unpleasant morning. Waddick has arrived. He's not late, by the way. I was early. Good morning, Waddick. How are you?
Michael.
Listen, would you fancy taking a little walk back up the river slightly with me?
Certainly,
to the same spot we met the last time.
Okay,
let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, so Waddick, I want you to do something for me.
Right.
You do a lot of volunteering with Dodder Action.
Yeah.
Tell me how the whole idea came about, how the group was formed, and what your involvement actually is.
Well, in about 2010, Dodder Action was formed, and I believe it was formed by just a very casual thing of people walking along the Dodder with different interests. One guy was going on his lunch break from Ericsson's, another man was a retired lecturer, and another woman was living on the Dodder and she had a dog, and there was another guy who grew up in the Dodder. When he was a boy, he used to clean the Dodder in Ballsbridge area. So it just seemed to come together, those few people, you know, and they gelled and they looked at the Dodder and the rubbish in it, you know, and they felt there was something they should do about it. Now, I came into Dodder Action about 2015, you know, so that's a different story.
Well, tell me about how you actually became involved in.
Well, I lived in Orcharstown for six months, a year, before I came to Furhouse, and it was my local river as well, and at that stage, so I came through. When I came to Furhouse, I went for a walk one April morning, and I came through a gap in close by in Dodder Valley Park, and to try and find the river. And what I thought was just a small river with a bank on the other side, I found out there was this wonderland of small islands with gravel paths, and it was a glacial landscape with gravel and small islands, you know, and it was 150 to maybe 200 meters wide, a wooded area, and I just fell in love with it. I just thought, this is unbelievable. I didn't even know this was here. I expected to just see the other bank, the other side of the bank, and I found this wonderland to me, with full of birds and wildlife.
Okay, Waddick, so at one stage then, you became involved with the litter mugs in Tala,
yeah.
And you guys now clean out not only the Dodder but the Whitesound stream.
Yeah.
How did the association with litter mugs come about?
It was almost natural and organic, you know. Volunteers who do this kind of work, they get to know each other on social media, and we go to each other's cleanups. I was introduced to John Kyberd, and it was a December day, and we were Dodder Action. We're working up in Dodder Valley Park, clearing a bank out, and I met John Kyberd. From then on, we just got involved, and we started going into the tributaries. We started working up the tributaries to find more rubbish, you know. There was a big job to do, and the volunteers were there, you know. Never enough volunteers, but there were a good, dedicated group, you know.
Why do you feel that it's necessary for so many volunteers to do this work?
Well, if you take Sean Walsh Park and Watergate Park, they have a green flag because the community are involved, you know. So I feel every area should have a green flag, like Dodder Valley Park should have a green flag. So then you have to have community involvement. That's part of getting a green flag, and that's necessary, you know. There was a report in 2010, it was a subgroup of the council, it was called Reclaiming Our Parks, and one of the recommendations was that they should have a park users group. As well as that, there should be staff presence. They felt there was no staff presence in any of the parks, and that is why there was more dumping and littering and antisocial behaviour. So staff presence and a park users group, the two together would work beautifully, you know. There's not enough staff in the parks, you know. That's one of the reasons there's a problem, you know.
Well, as you know, I visit Sean Walsh Park quite regularly and film quite a lot of stuff in there. I rarely see a warden. Is there a reason for that, or?
Well, there's the new theories. It's called passive surveillance and CCTV, and it's replaced actually employing people, and that's a pity. And people need like boots on the ground. People need people who love the park, who are working there, who are interested in the park, not CCTV. Passive surveillance is sort of putting the onus on the park user to actually tackle people who are antisocial. People aren't going to do that. It's too dangerous, Maybe the odd person might say something to a teenager dropping a cigarette packet, but you're not going to go up to a group of drinkers, or you're not going to put yourself in danger, So you need staff presence. Very important, And it's talked. I mean, it's cutbacks and embargoes that have done it, but it hasn't been replaced,
I'm going to switch subjects with you now,
Right.
Waddick. The John Kybert, a friend of both of ours,
Yeah.
and very heavily involved with Tala litter mugs. John began a new initiative called Stepping Stone Forests. Now, I know that all the people from Daughter Action and from Litter Mugs have participated in the preparation of these forests in schools around Tala and Clondalkin. How did you get involved in that, or was it just an extension of your work with the cleanups?
Well, that's the word, Michael. It's an extension. I mean, for instance, in Fairhouse since 2016, I've been doing a bat survey, Benton's bat survey. We don't just pick up litter. We're interested in the flora and fauna of South County Dublin. So for us to get involved in planting, the stepping stone forests or preparing the ground, it's a work of love, It's not a problem for us, It's an extension, as I said, of our work, of our environmental work.
And you guys obviously feel that this is going to be a very successful project.
Well, with global warming and climate change, it's a win-win, and also getting the children involved, the next generation, having their own trees, and also the fact that it's native species, that you're going to get. It'll be good for the actual flora and fauna, I mean, around me now, there's invasive species, in the Dodder, So the more native species you have, the better it's going to be for invertebrates and for the bird life and for the mammals, So it's they interact, as we know, the trees interact underneath the ground as well,
And as you well know, John has convinced Ireland's #1 herpetologist, Collie Ennis, to come on board, and Collie is going to meet with John and the local teacher in Fairhouse Community College. They're going to talk tomorrow about the first pond in one of these to decide exactly where this is going.
Right.
How do you feel about that? I think it's a great extension of the whole project.
Well, it's almost like stepping stone ponds as well, because we see the odd frog around, So the more frogs, amphibians we see, the better, the better it is for the actual environment, for the food chain, everything, It's I mean, we found frogs underneath the rubbish up in Whitestown Stream, struggling to survive, So if you have havens for frogs, we saw what happened in Sean Walsh Park a few years ago, where they filled in sludge and rubbish in ponds that were being used by amphibians, So it's important. It's very important for the biodiversity of South County Dublin, Well, I mean, the school kids, I believe, I've heard, are going to be involved in these ponds, Now, I have grandkids, and I've watched them in the garden and that, And there's a lot of preciousness about children these days, but I've seen they're the most happy when they're covered in muck or when they're messing with water, So this is important, In February, we're going to see the spawning of the frogs, We're going to see it, that's in the ponds, you see the frog spawn, And for kids to actually build a pond, actually experience, frogs spawning and newts and everything that's going to be in the water, and the skimmers on the water and the invertebrates in the water and whatever is in the water, it's so important. They're going to be learning about nature, they're going to be learning about nature evolving. They're going to actually see this in a pond in a school, when they go out for their little with their walks and their classes, outdoor classes. It's so important. So not only are they going to learn this in school, they're going to go home, and they're going to, they're going to look at the wildness in their own areas. I mean, we're seeing so many we're seeing so many drives being filled in, you know, so many green spaces being filled in with concrete and that, you know. So, I mean, to get a pond in your back garden, or to have hedgehogs coming in, or to, you know, to the odd fox, now this is important. This is nature. This is what we're lacking, you know. We're wilding urban areas, you know, and important, you know. I mean, we used to have in Fairhouse, I believe there were frogs, and I believe Collie Ennis, there was a pond which it's been called Collie's Pond, but now I believe the frogs are gone, you know. Like some of us, like Cara Cooch, she calls it Collie's Pond, you know, and now it's dead. There's no frogs in there because of runoff from a burst pipe, you know. So it's important, you know, to actually get the wildlife back into South County Dublin.
Okay, so a final word then, Waddick. How do you see the future?
I'm optimistic, you know, believe it or not, you know. I just get so inspired by watching the volunteers working, by watching the enthusiasm of kids, you know. I'm optimistic, you know. Spring is coming, you know. February will be here soon, as I said. We'll see the frogs spawn in the ponds, you know. We'll see the first, we'll see the hedgehogs emerging, and we'll see the butterflies coming out soon, and the moths, you know. And I'm optimistic, you know. You have to be optimistic. What's the point in, you know, you have to look forward, you know, and you have to do our best, you know, to wild areas, you know. There's too many football pitches being built, you know. we need more wild areas. We need nature to be left alone and to just be nature, you know.
Absolutely. Waddick, thanks very much for joining me today.
Okay.
And hopefully with both the stepping stone forests and the ponds that accompany them, we will help to rewild Tallaght for beginnings. Sorry, just to start, but after that we'll spread the word.
Okay.
Thanks, Waddick.
Thanks, Michael.
Well, thanks again for watching Wildlife Wednesday, folks. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, I'd be grateful if you'd give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And when you do, don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. If you'd like to buy a copy of my safari book From Sunrise to Sunset, just follow the link below the video. Till next week, stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands and wear a mask where necessary, while continuing to maintain social distancing, because we're not quite out of the woods yet. Even me. Take care, folks. Bye.